Then. Okay, so welcome to the four of you. Thank you for joining our second lesson. I'm surprised that there are not more people, but maybe that's okay. Maybe that's a good thing. So, of course, you have already been talking to each other. You've already made some small talk, but I will give you more chances to make more small talk. I've sent some very simple questions to our Telegram chat and to our Zoom chat. You can also see these questions on my board here. Very simple questions. What's your name? Which country are you from? Why are you planning to take IELTS? What do you like doing in your free time? And what are your plans for the weekend? Of course, these are simple questions that I thought about, but perhaps you have your own questions. I'm now going to put you into groups. You will work with a partner for about 2 minutes. Then I will change the groups. And so you will have a chance to work with different people. But yeah, I will give you 2 minutes each for each group. Good luck. Okay, I see for the viewers at home, I see that there are a few connection problems. I'm not sure if all candidates have gone. Remember, one of the requirements for these tests is to have a stable internet connection. One of the reasons for that, of course, is because I will move you around from group to group. And if you don't have that stable internet connection, that will be a problem. I will go and check on that group in a moment. Actually, I'll go and do that now just to make sure that they're okay. Hi, where is Amir?
I don't know. I just alone in my
Oh,
room.
he disappeared. It says he didn't join, but maybe he will join soon. Um, let's ask you some questions then, Sarah, because I don't know. I didn't ask you yesterday. What do you like doing in your free time?
Actually, I like watch film from Netflix, especially about adventure and horror. It's my cup of tea when I have some plenty times to watch it.
Oh, Amir is here now, so I will let him take
Uh,
over. Cool, you can speak together. Okay, so that's a nice little tip for you. If you are teaching on Zoom, you can see in the breakout rooms, if there's a problem, if somebody hasn't joined in those situations. I usually jump in, play the role of the student until that student joins, and then when that student joins, make my excuses, run away. It is important for students to have communication with each other, not just with the teacher. If you're just kind of sitting in one big room with four people or five people or six students, the attention is always on you as the teacher, and you don't want that to be the case in group lessons. In group lessons, you really want to promote independence. You want to let the students do as much of the talking as possible. Very often, students say, "Oh, but we want to listen to you. We want to listen to what you say." It's not good for your English. I mean, it's not always bad, but these should be communicative lessons. These should be opportunities for students to use their English. And so that's why I'm such a big fan of group work. I'm also speaking a lot because I want to allow people to speak without my influence here. Of course, monitoring is important. It is good to listen to the students and see what type of mistakes they're making or what they're doing well, how they're communicating, if there's any advice you can give them. But for this warmer task, I don't want anything to do with it. I want them to kind of get to know each other. I'm speaking a lot. I'm going to move the people around. I'm not going to move Amir just because I know his connection is a little bit weak, but I'm going to move Sarah into one group. I'm going to move Brian to the other group. So now you can't see what I'm doing on Zoom because Zoom doesn't screen share this. Um, but you can see, oh, sorry, but I can see it here. I can move these people around. Another person has requested to join, so I'm going to accept that person, just explain what we're doing, and then put that person in a group. Hi, HP. Oh, I guess I don't know if you can see it, but it's written for me that this person's connecting to audio. Again, so many students come to these sessions and they don't know how to use Zoom. They've never used Zoom before. If you do plan on coming to these sessions, it's always a good idea to practice. Ah, HP, can you hear me okay?
Thank you, sir, for joining me. My name is Habibur Rahman Sani.
Cool. What should we call you in the class?
Actually, I got a link you provided, and you asked me whether I was interested to join this discussion or not. Actually, so many times I requested you to
Are,
join me to
are
a
you
mock
on your
test
phone
video.
right now?
No, it is laptop.
Okay, it seems to be moving a little bit.
Actually, it was in my bedroom, and I have
Okay,
brought it in my mother's bedroom. It
no
was on my
problem.
hand.
Cool. What should we call you, by the way? You said your name, but your name is kind of long and difficult. What's the
Uh,
best thing to call you?
you can call me Sani. It is like everyone call me Sani.
Sunny? Great. I'm going to change your name to Sunny on Zoom just so other people can see it. We do have other people here. It's just that they are in some other room. So I'm going to put you with some other people. They are just making small talk. Yeah. Hi, Jyotirmoy.
Yes, hi.
How are you?
I'm fine. What about you?
I'm good. I see you didn't upload on YouTube for 1 year,
Yes, yes.
but you have nice videos. I saw some of your videos. It looks very nice.
Yes, I have some passion about this, and
Nice.
I like to make videos like this type of.
Yeah. Well, we do have some other people here. We have 5 other people. They are just getting to know each other. So I'm going to put you in a group, and you can just say hello. You can ask, where are you from? What do you do in your free time? Just making simple, small talk. I'll put you in this group now, and then I will pull us all back in about 5 minutes. Okay. Okay, so I said I wouldn't accept any latecomers, and it's already 10 minutes late, and I've just accepted 2 people. That's because we have so few people. A couple of other people want to join. So, yep, I'll let you in. Okay, so we might get one more person who joins. I really don't want to make a habit of letting people in late. One thing that drives me crazy about being a teacher is late students. I always feel as a teacher, I am never late to class. Maybe, 1 in every 100 classes, I might be late. There's no reason for it. Be on time, especially if these are free classes, be on time. We'll see. So those candidates are still chatting away, right? When I pull them back, I will ask them to give some details so I can find out something about them. Um, but I don't want to monitor them here. I will monitor them in the next task. So I'm going to move a couple of people around. I don't want to touch Amir, so let's keep Sunny. I'm going to put maybe I'll move Brian there and I'll move Viandra to the next room. So again, you can't see it on my screen because, as I say, you can only see me. You can't see what I'm doing on Zoom. But I'm just using this breakout rooms function just to move a few different people into different groups, just to allow them to see other faces, to hear other voices. So students will have some familiarity with each other. We have one more student joining now. So I will say hello and maybe pull everybody back. Hi, can you hear me okay? Hello? Hey, can you hear
Hello?
me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Cool. I can hear you too, but I can't see you.
I'm just allowing a video.
Cool. I can see you now. What's your name?
My name is Humayun, and I'm from Uzbekistan.
Cool. We do have a lot of other people here at the moment. We have about 6 other people just doing some small talk activities. I will pull them back in a moment. I have a lot of candidates from Uzbekistan now on my channel. Is IELTS popular in Uzbekistan?
Yes, it is popular right now. A lot of people like taking an IELTS exam for their studies, like that.
And are you taking IELTS for your studies too?
Yep, I do. My exam is soon. It will be on 22nd of February.
And as I understand in Uzbekistan, if you get a score of 7.0 or higher, you get your money back. Is that right?
Yeah, it is. I can get my money back.
So are you hoping to get the 7.0? Is that your aim?
Maybe I'm hoping to get that score. Who knows?
All right. Well,
What kind of score I will get.
we also have Ferima Janat here. Can you hear us, Ferima?
Hello, Glenn. Hi.
Hi, I can hear you, but I can't see you right now.
Okay. Just a minute.
Mm-hmm. So I will pull the other people back. We have now in total 8 people. They're just coming back. They were doing some work in pairs. They should be here any second.
Okay.
Hi, Mr. Wimisuke.
All right, so we have
Hello,
quite
guys.
a few more students now. We started with just 4, and already we are up to 7. There is an 8th person who's trying to join too. I will say this time I let people in late. Next time I will not let people in late because it disturbs the flow of my lesson. So please do try to be on time. But let's just collect a little bit of feedback. Sarah, who did you speak to and what can you tell us about this person?
I speak with 3 people, Virendra, Jyotirmoy, and Brian.
Tell me something about
with
Jyotirmoy.
Amir. I mean, 4 people.
Wow.
I talk about the list question that you sent in
But tell
Telegram,
us something about Jyotirmoy.
But we talk more about the tips and tricks how to use tenses because in my country there is no tenses in Indonesia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sarah, we will get this soon. First, can you tell the group something about Jyotirmoy, about Brian, about Amir, about Virendra? Do you know where they are from?
I know Brian from Mandarin. Is it?
Mandarin? Is that a
Virendra,
place?
India. No, it's language. I forgot the place. Virendra from India. Amir, Iran.
Okay. Let's go to Amir. Amir, can you tell us about somebody else in the group?
Yes, so I talked to Brian. He have been to Canada when he was 9. I talked with Virenda. He plans to go to Canada, and I think the other one was Sunny. Sunny is on the last semester of his bachelor.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Do you know what he's studying?
I myself.
No, do you know what Sunny is studying? You said he's in the last year of his bachelor's, but
Yes.
is he studying economics or computer science?
I think it was socialism. Yeah, what something like that.
Socialism or sociology?
Sociology.
Sociology, not socialism.
You can study socialism, I guess. Now, Sunny, we also have another latecomer, Humoyun. Could you ask him just 1 or 2 questions?
Definitely. What is the most common food in your city?
Yeah, in my hometown, people like to eat palo. It's called palo, yeah, and it's our traditional food. That's why we often eat that kind of food.
I've heard this
Nice.
word pronounced in many different ways. Like I've heard plov, pilaf, pilau.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like rice, carrots, usually like lamb or something like this,
yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
I heard, sir, pilau.
Because pilau is the type of rice, as I understand, right? But I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah,
an
yeah, yeah,
expert.
yeah. It's
um,
called biryani. It's
uh,
called biryani in our language.
uh-huh. All right, so let's get. We've done a little bit of introduction, so you should know each other just a little bit. Now, just like last time, we're going to start a little bit with some IELTS speaking part one. And as you all know, IELTS speaking part one is what we call an interview, right? One person asks a question, the other person answers the question. And these questions are always personal questions. They are about you, or sometimes we see your favorite band or your country or something like this. Now, at IELTS, we know it's a multi-level test. It's not just for advanced or not just for intermediate, but it's for intermediate, upper intermediate, advanced, proficient. And in part one, we expect for A2 students, pre-intermediate, it can be difficult, but for B1 students, intermediate students, it should be okay. So speaking part one is the easiest part. And we usually have three different parts in part one. You have the introduction. Usually it's like, what's your name? Do you work or do you study? Or tell me about your hometown. And then we have like two other themes in part one, because the examiners want to know if you can speak about not just one thing, but if you can speak about different topics. But the questions, as you can see, are all quite easy, quite familiar, and it's always about you, right? What do you usually do in your free time? If we have this theme of free time, then we have this, what do you usually do in your free time? Do you prefer spending your free time alone or with other people? How did you spend your free time when you were younger? Sarah loves this question because it has past tenses, and Sarah loves past tenses. And also, the last question, what would you do if you had more free time? So, in IELTS speaking part one, we always have questions about you or your, things like this. Now, today, we are not going to speak about free time. Today, we're going to speak about two things, hometown and home. And so, I think this is a very useful task for English students and for IELTS candidates to do. I want you guys in pairs to think of three questions for your hometown and three questions for your home. Remember, they should be questions for IELTS speaking part one. So with lots of you. I will put you into pairs, so you should create 6 questions in total, 3 questions for your hometown, 3 questions for your home, but they must be simple, easy, personal questions. Again, I will put you into pairs for this. I will give you 5 minutes, but we are not asking and answering the questions now. We are just thinking of possible questions. Okay, so no answers. We're just thinking of questions. I'll put you into pairs. I'll give you 5 minutes for this task. Let's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Uh-huh. All right. So again, Amir has some problems with his connection. But I'm going to wait a little bit just because I know last time it was okay. So if this happens in general, if I have 6 students like this and one student often has problems with his connection, I might decide, instead of doing pair work where now Virendra is waiting for Amir to join him, instead of doing this pair work, I might do 2 groups of 3 instead, because we don't want one student always waiting. Now, probably what I should do is kick Amir and not let him back in, because one of the requirements is to have a stable internet connection, and it's clear that he doesn't. So I might give him one more chance, and then if it doesn't work out, I will kick maybe. Amir, it seems you have problems with your internet connection. I will try to send you to one more group, but if you continue to have these problems with these connections, I think I will have to ask you to leave the group, because when you work in pairs with people, these people will be waiting for you a lot. So we'll see how it is. I'll try to move you to another group, but if we keep having these problems, unfortunately, I will have to kick you. Sorry. Okay, so I've just moved Amir there. And of course, I don't want to kick anyone from the group. I don't get any pleasure in doing this, but these are group lessons, right? And we want it to be workable for everybody. And so that means, people need a stable internet connection. And really, I want to be monitoring people here. I don't want to be worried about the student. Are they in the right group? So right now I'm hanging back in the main room just because I need to keep my eye on Amir and what's going on. So that's another reason why I might have to kick, is because it stops me from monitoring those students. Anyway, just a little bit more detail on this task. So I love doing this task. I love getting IELTS students to think of their own questions. You start to get then in the mind of the script writers, the people who write these questions for IELTS. And that can be a really, really useful thing to do. It gives you an extra layer of familiarity. Yeah, but we'll see what they come up with. I won't monitor because I feel like they've already had enough time. I'm just going to give them an extra minute or two. When they come back, we will collect the questions. Now, some questions might be perfect. Some questions might have some small grammar mistakes. So there's like a soft learning process there where you change the candidate's question to a more appropriate one. That's a way of kind of giving them feedback without, criticizing or judging or saying anything negative. Some of the questions might not be appropriate, and so I might change them completely. But after we collect the questions, then we will, don't worry. All of that stuff is coming soon. So I will, and I want to monitor because I want to start collecting mistakes, but we'll do that next time. So I'm going to pull people back now. We'll see what questions they've come up with. Amir, I can say, has joined one of the groups. I think Amir said he's from Iran, and I know in Iran there's famously problems with internet connections, especially with some platforms. So, understand why that happens, but we can't allow that problem to affect the whole group. But anyway, I'm pulling these people back now. All right, so let's see what questions you've come up with. Sunny, could you give me one question for your hometown? Sunny? Okay, he's gone, it seems. Jotin, can you give me one question that we could ask about hometowns?
Yes, we discussed the.
Just give me a question. Just give me a question.
Brother, just tell.
So,
Britain.
We're looking for questions that we can answer in part 1 about your hometown or your home. Let's go to Humoin. We'll ask you then. Can you think of a question?
Yes. What is the most popular thing in your hometown?
And of course, we could have most popular thing. We could have most popular place. A few different things. Cool. Brian, can you think of an even simpler question here?
Sure. Would you like to continue living in your hometown in the future?
Cool. Can anyone think of an even simpler question? The first question we might ask.
Oh,
Where do you live?
What is the name of your hometown? Yeah. What is the name? Yeah.
That's probably the first question we get, right?
Of course.
Where do you live? Where are you from? And then from there, we ask these follow-up questions. Jyotirmoy, can you think of one more question we could ask about hometown?
Yes, I want to add some, like, what facilities in your hometown?
What do you mean by
like-
facilities here? Because for me, when I think of a hotel, I think, okay, a hotel has facilities, but I don't know what facilities does your hometown have? It sounds a little bit strange to me. So what do you mean by facilities here?
Facilities like how your money, if any changes are needed in your hometown, like this.
I think that's a good question. Is there anything you'd like to change about your hometown?
Yes.
Cool.
Is there anything?
All right, we have 4 nice questions here. Let's go to Amir. What about your home? So not your hometown now, but any questions about your home?
For example, how many bedrooms do you have in your home?
How many rooms are there in your home? Now, sometimes IELTS examiners, they don't like asking this question because sometimes people can feel bad about it, right? Like if they live in a small place. So they often don't like asking that question. They might ask something like, what is your favorite room in your home? That's a very common question. But maybe how many rooms are there in your home? That's okay. Sarah, can you think of another question? Sarah?
Wait, Mr.
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
thinking.
Mr.
How many rooms do you have in your home?
Okay, we've had that, but that's okay. Maybe we'll go to you, Virendra.
Would you like to live in home or apartment?
And maybe even instead of would you like to, maybe do you live in a house or an apartment? That's
Yes.
very common question. Brian, do you have one more that we could add?
Yeah. So, which part of your home do you spend the most time in?
But maybe, some questions like what's your favorite room and which part of your home do you spend the most time in? They're kind of connected. So we would expect one or the other, but probably not both. I'll add something also. Maybe how often do you speak to your neighbors? So I just want to make the point here that and I spell neighbors, sorry, with this U because it's British English. So even though the theme is your home, the questions might not always be 100% about your home. It might be something related like how often do you speak to your neighbors? But we can expect this, right? In the first part of IELTS, we will always get a question like either do you work or do you study, or where are you from, or where do you live? And so we should be prepared for these questions. And of course, it's a good thing if you are prepared for the questions, but sometimes maybe we can be a little bit too prepared for the questions. And I want to show you an example of a candidate answering a simple question. So I want you to watch this candidate. Listen to the answer that the candidate gives. As you listen, maybe take a note or just think about anything positive or anything negative in this candidate's answer. Ready? Here it is. Now, in this first part of the test, I'm going to ask you some questions about yourself. Where are you from?
I am from the outskirts of Delhi, which is a village called Buradi, and the part of the northern belt of India, surrounded by the forest, and it's in Asia, a famous country with a great GDP, and I am happy to live here, and I enjoy my neighborhood also.
Okay, I will play it one more time. I hope you can hear it. Now, in this first part of the test, I'm going to ask you some questions about yourself. Where are you from?
I am from the outskirts of Delhi, which is a village called Buradi, and the part of the northern belt of India, surrounded by the forest, and it's in Asia, a famous country with a great GDP, and I am happy to live here, and I enjoy my neighborhood also.
Okay, so if you can't hear it, don't worry. I have put the text here. I have the tape script here. So I'm going to make a copy of this. Again, I just want you to work in pairs. Can you see any positive or negative features in this candidate's answer? Again, I'm going to send these questions to the chat, and I'm going to send these questions to our Zoom chat. I'll give you just 3 or 4 minutes to answer those questions. Let's make 2 groups of 3. Nope, sorry. Okay, so I've put candidates in 2 groups of 3 this time because I'm aware of Amir's kind of connection problems. Now I am going to monitor, and I'm hoping that I will find just some mistakes here that I can collect and put on my board so we can look at them a little bit later. Yeah.
I guess his vocabulary is like arranged.
However, his pronunciation, I can listen
What?
clearly.
Yes, sometime I also notice this.
Or negative.
Go ahead. Oh, sure. What positive or negative feature can you hear this candidate answer?
So there are no negative features. So features means where?
Oh, there are some
I guess
negative features.
there are a lot of negative features.
Fantastic. Don't want to overwhelm the question, because it reached a point where if you try to look at him again, he's very uncomfortable answering at a certain point, and try to look at the number of ends. A and D.
Yes.
It reached a point where it's like one sentence that never ends. I'm like, relax. You don't have to overwhelm the first question. You have to give the person you're talking to a bit of time to catch up with you. And I think that happens when we're slightly nervous or trying to sink into the moment, or you're trying to still get used to the feeling of being there. What other negative things have we noticed?
I think he said actually I am from outskirts of Delhi. Outskirts means it is a suburb.
Mhm.
He 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 said it's a village. Is a village called Borali something.
Okay,
It's a
so there are
suburb. Is the suburb or village, which is the it's the best to put it here to put here.
You know,
I think.
I'm going to admit something. Because of the speed and the overwhelming number of information, nothing stands out to me more than the behavior of the person who's talking. At this point, because we're not pausing correctly and we're not trying to highlight the main answer, we're now in a situation where the person is a little bit confused. Like, you gave me way too much. And
Okay, so for sure I heard some mistakes, but I noticed the most of the students level here, most of them are quite low, like in that intermediate B1-ish range. Um, and I think I will wait a little bit to hear their answers to these questions. I think that would be more valuable feedback and corrections to put. At the moment, the conversations are not very flowing and we don't hear a lot of language in there. So there's not much for me to write in terms of mistakes. So I'll wait a little bit and I'll wait for candidates' answers before I write some of those mistakes. Now, because the learners are slightly lower in level, it means this lesson is going to take more time. So we might not have time to look at some of those mistakes at the end, but I will still record those mistakes and I might send it to the group then for, the students in their own time to have a look at. But okay, so I'm going to pull these people back, give them some of my thoughts, and then I will then these students can answer their own questions, trying to keep in mind some of this feedback that they hopefully will find about this the candidate we just watched and just listened to. Notice Brian has a lot of very good thoughts about this, but I want to hear the thoughts of the other candidates to see if they can spot those negative features. But let's pull these guys back. Okay, how many students do we have now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're back down to 5. Wow. All right. Let me ask you a question, Humayun. How many sentences is this?
Yeah, actually, I haven't counted sentences, but it's too long.
It's one sentence. There are many clauses. I'm from the outskirts of Delhi, clause, which is a village called Burali clause, the part of the northern belt of India fragment, surrounded by the forest, embedded clause. It's in Asia, clause, famous country with a great Dirapi fragment of a clause. I'm happy to live here, clause. I enjoy my neighborhood also, clause. We have 8 clauses in one sentence.
Sentences, yeah.
Jyotirmoy, is this a good thing or a bad thing?
No, it's not a good thing because first part is very simple and you have to go answer in simple way. So he make it more complex.
So, of course, there are positive features here, right? Some of the vocab, like outskirts, there was a mispronunciation, but outskirts, that's good topical language. If you don't know what outskirts are, if we think of a city like a big circle, if we think of a city as a big circle, the outskirts are kind of here on the edge of the city. Now, of course, we also, I think Virendra mentioned this word suburbs. Usually we think of suburbs as like little towns outside the city. So there's a small difference between like outskirts and suburbs, but okay, they're very similar. But that's a good piece of language from the student. Outskirts, a village, great, that's good language. Surrounded by, nice, okay. But For me, the candidate is trying too hard here. Just relax. When the examiner asks this first question, where are you from? They're only asking it so they can understand, how they should ask your question, how they should ask the next question. If you say you're from a small village called da 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 da, or if they say I'm from a big city called da 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 da, then they ask, oh, what do you like living? What do you like about living in this city? Or what do you like living about this village? Or what do you like about living in Dhaka? Or what do you like about living in Manila or whatever, right? So that first question is just to help the examiner to guide what the next set of questions will be. And so we don't want to go crazy and try to use all of our vocab in that first question. You will burn out. So a normal answer, where are you from? I'm from Caerphilly. It's a small town in South Wales. Enough. No more. I'm from Caerphilly. It's a small town in South Wales. Then the examiner will ask, okay, how long have you been living there? Or what do you like about living in Caerphilly? Or are people in Caerphilly very friendly? Do you have a lot of tourists? Are there any famous places in Caerphilly? Then I can try to use my vocab. But for that first question, where are you from? Don't try to do too much. So I'm going to put you back into pairs, and now you're going to answer these questions. So these are your IELTS Speaking Part 1 questions about your hometown, about your home. Remember that you don't want to. Where do you live? I'm from a small town called Caerphilly. Caerphilly, it has a really big castle, and it was built by Gilbert de Clay in the 15th century. And now there are not so many people living there. I think there are about 60,000 people, but it's also a town. And it's also kind of a county borough, and I really like living there because the air is really fresh. You don't need to do all of this stuff. A simple answer, simple question, simple answer, simple question, simple answer. I'm going to throw you guys back into pairs. Again, I will send these questions to our chat on Zoom. I will also send these questions to our chat on Telegram. I'll put you into pairs in total. About 7 minutes should be enough. You don't have to answer all of the questions. Maybe just 5 or 6 questions will be enough. I'll give you 6 minutes to practice, 6 or 7 minutes to practice asking and answering these questions together. Sorry. Yeah, so hopefully that's been set up. Again, I'll monitor some of the students. I'll jump in. I'll try to find any mistakes that they make or anything that I can give feedback.
Continue with the
Okay.
Let's begin. Let's talk about your hometown. So, where do you live?
I live in a small village called Chunabanda, which is so far distant from capital city of Bangladesh.
All right. And what is it popular for?
My village is especially home for farming and cultural traditions.
All right. Is there anything you'd like to change about your hometown?
Ready? So
Come on,
where do you live, Sarah?
Well, I live in Indonesia and I live in Jakarta City, which is the capital city in my country.
Okay, what is the most popular thing or place in your hometown?
I think the library here, because there are so many free facilities. For instance, free internet access is the most popular thing in my hometown.
Okay. Would you like to continue living in this place in the future?
I don't think so because I have a plan for going to abroad, continue my study. So maybe someday I will to move to other.
Okay. So last question is there anything you would like to change about your hometown?
Maybe it's about traffic jam. I want to make suggestion from the government here about that because it's a very disturb me, especially for commuting and visit some places. It takes time too long.
Okay.
So if
Okay.
so
I'm so sorry about that one. I thought you ended your speech. Um, it is so nice when you're trying to start with some of those relative clauses or when you're trying to add a little bit more information to your answer. I really like that. Like you're trying to embody the idea of an interview, right? Because you're telling me things about you. And just don't retrieve or don't withdraw. Let that confidence come through. You're the only one who knows the right answers anyway. So there's no chance that you're
okay,
going to make a mistake, right?
okay, okay.
Um, Amir, let's do this. I'll be the one asking the questions, okay? Let's begin. Where do you live?
I live in Ray. It's a small town in the south part of Tehran.
Right. And is there a popular tourist destination in Ray?
Yes, actually, there are some monuments and old towers that that goes back to I think 500 years ago, and it has some tourists there.
Right. And is there anything you'd like to change about your hometown?
If I were in authority, I would build a hospital in our town because the nearest hospital is so it's in 5 kilometers. Actually, 515 kilometers away from our town, so it's not good.
A little bit inaccessible, isn't it? Okay.
Yes, it's.
Let's move on and talk about your home. Do you live in a house or in an apartment?
I live in a house. Actually, we are in the second floor.
Okay. And um, is there a particular place in your house where you spend a lot of time in?
Yes, my bedroom. I'm here always and all hours the day that I'm.
All right, so I've just collected a couple of mistakes from students. I have a plan for going to abroad. So I know with go, we usually use go to, right? Like go to a city, go to the gym, go to a library or whatever. Go home, no article, sorry, no preposition, go home, and go abroad, also no preposition there. Yeah, I know English is, but I have a plan to go abroad, or I'm planning to go abroad is probably better. It very disturbed me. So, of course, we don't use very before verbs. It really disturbs me, or it disturbs me very much. There are some old towers that go back 500 years, and we don't need 500 years ago here. This is this word ago. I think it's called a post position. Like you have prepositions, and this is, I believe, the only post position in English. I'm not sure, but of course, the key mistake: some old towers, plural, that go back, not goes. And then I live in a house. We are in the second floor. I mean, on the second floor, or we live on the second floor. Yeah. Uh, yeah, I guess that's possible. Yeah. So I will pull candidates back in a moment. We are going to go to some reading, but I'm just mindful of the time. We've been here for 50 minutes. Again, that's because of connection problems. That's because of candidates coming late. So we are a little bit over time, but that's the life of any online teacher. We do have some reading comprehension tasks coming up. But of course, with like I always do with reading, I want pre-reading, reading, and post-reading. So this might take a bit of time, but let's see if we can race through it. But I also want to ask candidates, I'm just going to pick on a couple of candidates and ask them those part one questions too. So let's pull them back and then we will do that. All right. So I'm gonna ask a few people some questions. Let's go to Humayun. I'm gonna ask you first. Where do you live?
I live in Gurlan district of Khorizm region. It's located in Uzbekistan.
And what's the most popular place in this town?
Uh, I would say the most popular thing in my country is historical cities like Bukhara, Samarkand, and Khiva, which attracts a lot of tourists every year.
Mhm. And what about any places in your hometown? What are some famous or popular places in your hometown?
I guess there is no popular place in my hometown, but I would say our bazaar is like some kind of popular among our like people
And
which live in my hometown.
is there anything you'd like to change about your hometown?
Yes, I would love to like add some relaxing facilities like gardens, attractions, and something like that. Yeah.
Cool. Does anyone want to volunteer and give any feedback to Humayun? No?
Can I give some suggestion from here?
Absolutely.
Okay, so in human speaking, he should add.
Oh, he cut out at that key moment. He should add. We lost you for a second there, Jotinmoy.
Okay, he should add some description or elaborate her hometown.
For which question?
For where do you live and what is the most thing? Second question. What is the most popular thing?
I think the first question he answered fine. I mean, the most popular
Yes.
thing is difficult, right? Because if there's nothing popular in your country, that can be a difficult thing to answer. But I don't know. Let's ask you, Humayun. What people in your hometown, what do they usually do for fun, or what do they do when they relax in their free time? Is there a city center? Is there a park that people go to?
Yes, there is park in the city center, but it's like very far away from the village that I live. That's why I couldn't find anything that attracts
Okay.
people.
And in your village, then, are there any meeting points? Like, do people meet in any field or shop or yard or something like this?
I can say our football page.
Mhm.
It's the most popular thing in my hometown among like boys because they often play football there every day and they can enjoy it.
And that would have been a great answer, right? If you'd said, like, well, I'm from a very small, like everything you're telling me now would be perfect for that answer. Well, I'm from a very small village. So, of course, we have some like famous garden in the city, but that city is quite far away. So, in my village, if you're a boy or a man, usually you meet your friends on the football pitch. And I think that's a perfect answer. So, everything when you're not thinking like a student, when you're not thinking like an IELTS candidate, and you're just thinking like a person, you give me great answers and great details. But when you're in test mode, you think like, okay, there are no famous places in my hometown. And that's sometimes, so yeah, verbalize those things, right? Those ideas that you have, just tell the examiner like a human. I'm going to go to Amir for the next set of questions. Amir, do you live in a house or an apartment?
I live in a house, actually. We have a two-floor house, and we are living in the second floor.
And what's your favorite room in your home?
Absolutely my bedroom, because all of my books and my clothes, everything is here.
Mhm. And how often do you speak to your neighbors?
I don't often I don't often talk to them, just maybe sometimes say hello or how are you. Just we are not friends.
And would you like to continue living in this house in the future?
I think no, I don't like because the town is not it's small and it doesn't have some entertainment centers or something like this. Because of that, I prefer to live in a bigger city.
Cool. Thank you. Does anyone have any feedback? I know Brian does.
I think he provided enough details. I think he was very intentional about his answers. I would suggest like using those feelings in your intonation when you're transitioning from one idea to another, it actually makes it more conversational than feeling like, oh, there should be some right set of answers needed for this question. Because you know those moments when you're doing the and then you're looking up? I'm like, what is he doing? Talk to me. Imagine we're in a coffee shop. We're having a great time. Don't think too much. And as long as you're providing details, then yes, you're fulfilling the brief of an interview. But again, just relax a little bit. Can I say something about homoyun? Okay, if I heard it correctly, you said something about a bazaar, right? And
Yeah.
I think when you use those words, you have to accommodate the listener. You have to try and say, oh, this is the equivalent of like a mall or a shopping center, and a lot of young people meet there. So the person who's not aware of that word would pick it up. Accommodate the listener. Think of, is this something that is common in their language? And then accommodate them.
Thank you. I got it.
Provide more context.
Yeah, that's always the big issue of like some words, like bazaar is in the English dictionary, right? But most people I know don't know what a bazaar is. And so Brian's right. You need to be careful with those words that you might need to explain what they are. Bazaar, oh, it's like a type of market, little sentences like that. And we also know in lexical resource, you get points for paraphrasing. And so when you use a word like bazaar or dacha or something like this, and then you explain what those things are, the examiner says, okay, that guy or that girl can paraphrase, which is good news. Amir, I think your answers are on point. They success, like in terms of communicative achievement, you answer the questions, your answers are informative to get a higher mark. And I know it always sounds horrible for some people. Sometimes we need a bit more energy and a bit more enthusiasm, but that's a very, very difficult thing. That's a very difficult hat to wear, right? Some people are naturally more introverted and they don't like being like open and communicative and expressive and showing their emotions. And I find that is a problem for many candidates who are stuck at that band 6. Sometimes there are aspects of a person's character or personality that might stop them from getting those higher marks in pronunciation. Of course, it doesn't mean that you are not enthusiastic, but I notice a lot with the people that I examine that the people who are not very like open and expressive don't often get that like band 7 or higher. But anyway, we're going to move on. We're going to move on. So thank you for those who gave feedback. Sorry if I didn't get around to asking everybody, but I want to do just a little bit of reading, nothing crazy. You're going to read a task, again, connected to houses, homes, hometowns. And the title of the article is What Makes a House a Home? So we know there's a difference between these two words, house and home. And this is the introduction of the article. I'll give you just 60 seconds to read this introduction to the article. All right. So, like all good articles, they end the paragraph with an important question. But what makes a house truly feel like a home? What specifically, what is it about a house that can make it feel like a home? And we're going to read more about that. But before you read, I want you to answer this question. Before we read the rest of the text, answer this question. What things specifically do you think the text will mention as an answer to this question? What makes a house truly a home? I'll put you into pairs again. I'll give you 3 or 4 minutes. Just create a list of things. What is it that makes a house feel special, that makes it a home? Yeah, I'll make a copy of this slide just in case you want it, but I don't think you need it, but I will make a copy of it anyway. I'll put it again in our Zoom chat, which is there. I'll put it also in our Telegram chat so that it's there. I'll put you into pairs. I'll give you 3 or 4 minutes to discuss this. Let's change the room slightly. Okay. All right. We've lost Amir again for a second, it seems. Probably he'll be back. Again, this essential, this pre-reading, right? When you have these reading tasks, it's usually not enough to say, okay, read the text, and then I'll ask you questions later. You want to give students some type of focus. And the focus here, this like background schemata, the focus here is they will make predictions about what they think will be in the text, so that then when they read the rest of the text, they will keep this question in mind. Did I predict the correct information? Or do my ideas align with, are my ideas the same as the author's ideas? And that is an essential thing to keep in mind. I'm sure you've all been there, right? Reading your IELTS texts thinking, oh my God, I can't do this. This is so long and this is so boring and there are so many words I don't understand. Well, it's great if you can set yourself a focus question. I will do more stuff on reading in the future, perhaps, but it's great if you can set yourself a focus question when you are skimming the text. When we read, we read for different reasons. We might skim, we might scan, we might read for detailed information. When we first read a text in IELTS, in most of the questions, not all, but in most cases, we will skim the text first, taking a couple of minutes just to understand what the text is about in general. And so this focus question, the task that the students are doing now, will help when it comes to reading the rest of the article. The article, by the way, I decided to make it B1 level, B1, B2. I didn't want to make it too difficult because we're not training our IELTS reading. I still think it's useful to have this comprehension, like true, false, not given, which we will have. But really, the purpose of this text is just to generate some ideas for task 3 and just to give students a few more ideas. Who knows, maybe when they're doing their IELTS test for real, they will have a question, which is something like, what's the difference between a home and a house? You know, they might get a question like that, and they might be able to use some of these ideas. In terms of idea generation, the key to this, it's not always about brainstorming and thinking of the right questions. Sometimes we just need to read more. We just need to engage more with the world. What are people in the world saying about education, about technology, about the environment, about homes? The more reading we do, the more kind of information we get about these different points of view, and that allows us to be a bit more confident in part 3. So that's why I've included this text. So I'm doing a lot of speaking here just because the guys are in their group, and I don't want this to be kind of quiet. I don't want to interrupt the students too much here because, again, it's just brainstorming. They're just collecting ideas. I know Brian's group, he's already playing the role of like teacher, which is a very useful thing to have. If you are a teacher, and you might notice that some of your students are higher in terms of their level than some of the other students, and you can really use those students, right? Many times with lower level learners, I might do things like comprehension check, making sure that they understand the questions and the tasks that we're doing. Luckily, when you have someone like Brian, you know he's going to take care of that. So if the students don't understand something in his group, they're going to get through it. I will just check on the group that's not Brian's group just to make sure that they're okay, and then I will pull people back.
That means family bondings.
What's your
Family bondings.
opinion? Okay, family bondings. I said, what
Family
else?
bonding means one is being related to another, so which we can relate to strengthen the family relationships. So that makes the household to home.
So I wanna write down my idea that I said when you rent a house and you paid for a video, you know, when you're a salary and you feel that okay, it is my own house, and in that case you feel safe, you feel, you know, uh, you see that house as an achievement. So in that case, maybe you say that okay, it's my home. I came back to my home. My home. It's you know, it has the.
Okay, so I probably should have monitored a little bit early instead of talking to you. But you know, the other group is doing absolutely fine. They understand the task. They're getting on with the task. And again, this isn't. We have like when candidates are asking and answering questions, this is where I want to monitor for mistakes and things like this. But with this task where there's like a function of making those predictions, I don't care so much about their accuracy, right? The purpose is only for them to think of some ideas that they can keep in mind when they're reading the text. So accuracy really isn't important. And I think, again, it's a really nice experience to have this cross-cultural thing where you have, you know, maybe you have Amir from Iran speaking with Jyotirmoy, who is from, I believe, Bangladesh, and Virendra from India, all from different countries. I don't know how much experience these guys have had speaking to other people from different countries, but sometimes if you're only speaking English to other people from your country, or only speaking English to your teacher, you don't always know what the other person or what an average person might understand and might not understand. And naturally, when you're put in these social situations, this is a very useful lesson for you to understand, like, how effective is my English in terms of its communication, like across cultures. Yeah, so that's another reason why I'm not recording mistakes here, because I want them to enjoy this without the pressure of the teacher finding their mistakes. I want them to enjoy this process of, you know, accomplishing a task, even if it's a very, very simple one. Okay, I'm going to pull people aside. I should also take a note. I want to take a note of their ideas too. So let's create a slide here. I have to say, I absolutely love this teaching program. It's amazing. I've been on this program for years and years and years. Some friends of mine built it. We use it. We have so many lessons here in our library. It's such a useful resource, but more on that in the future. But it makes teaching online so much easier just to be able to customize and add things. Okay. I'm going to pull students back in a moment, and we're going to collect their ideas, and then students will read and then compare their ideas to the ideas in the text. So let's pull these people back. All right, so let's collect some very, very simple ideas. The question is, what makes a house a home? Virendra, can you tell me one thing that makes a house a home?
I think the family dynamics and family bonds. that I would bring.
Sorry, your audio is a little bit. I can't hear you. Can you repeat what you said, please?
Family bondings,
Family
relationships
bonding?
between one member to.
Absolutely. Family bonding. Great. Sarah, can you tell me another thing?
The place for relax.
A comfortable place to relax. Great. Jotin Mai?
I don't have any idea about this.
Cool.
Sorry.
What do you have in your home that you like? When you look around your home, what makes you feel a little bit like, oh, that's nice?
Okay, like my private space.
Cool. Having a private space. Let's go to you next, Humayun.
Yeah, I guess understanding each other, family members.
Understanding your housemates or family members. Yeah. Brian? Oh, you're muted at the moment.
Sorry, we're talking about home, right? It is the fondness of memories. That's why, we say homesick, we don't say house sick.
Yeah, maybe building meaningful memories. Yeah. Amir?
Maybe decoration that you have that you liked, everything that is your home is based on your preferences.
Absolutely. The way you decorate your home definitely makes it a cozy place. I completely agree. Okay, so these are your ideas, the 6 things that make a house a home: family bonding, having a comfortable place to relax, having a private space, understanding your housemates or your family members, building meaningful memories, and decoration. Let's see if the text that we read agrees with this. So I'm going to send you now the text. The text is not very long. The text is not very difficult. The text is easier. The text is easier than a typical IELTS, easier than a typical IELTS text, and also shorter than a typical IELTS text. But I'm going to give you, I've now sent this text both to our Telegram group and to our Zoom chat, and it is on my screen. So we have many places where we can see it. I'll give you now. Don't worry about understanding every word. I'll give you just 2 minutes to read the whole text. Only think about the question, does the author say any of your ideas? I'll give you 2 minutes to do this. All right, Amir, does the text mention your idea?
Yes, in personal touches, it said about decoration.
Cool. Sarah, did the text mention your idea?
Yeah, of course. Paragraph 1, comfortable.
Jotin Moy, does it mention anything about privacy?
No. You can say safe, a safe place. It's mean privacy.
Maybe. And just because the text doesn't mention it doesn't mean you're wrong. For me, privacy is one of the most important things in a home. Brian, what about your idea of memories?
Yeah, it should be there within the people inside, and then the conclusion of having happy moments in there.
Virendra?
So for home is not just a place; it's about the people they live with. Yes, the family bonding.
Yeah, they did mention, it's about the people they live with, family, friends. That's kind of like bonding, I guess. And Humayun, you also mentioned family, didn't you? About like understanding the people you live with.
Yes.
It's okay. So your answers are kind of similar to the author's answers. But of course, we've read this text once and we've read this text quite quickly. And usually with IELTS reading, our focus today is not reading, but you kind of want to do this in your IELTS reading. You want to read the text once to make sure that you understand what the text is about. And then you want to read the text again carefully to answer the questions. Now, everybody in the world hates these IELTS questions of true, false, not given. Everybody hates them. So we're going to do a true, false, not given task. Again, I'm going to send the text back to you. This time we have some questions. And again, I will share this on my screen. So I've sent the texts to you on Telegram. I've also sent the texts to you in our Zoom chat, but also I will keep it on my screen. This time, I'm going to give you a total of 6 minutes. Read the text again carefully. Answer these questions, true, false, not given. My first recommendation, now you've already read the text quickly. First, look at the sentences 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then find the answers, the detailed information to mark them true, false, not given. I will give you 6 minutes to do this. All right. Now, don't worry if you haven't finished yet. It's okay if you haven't finished. I'm just going to put you back into pairs very quickly. Compare your answers. Do you have the same answers? Do you have different answers? Of course, if you have different answers, Sarah, you should fight. All right. Again, so why am I giving these true, false, not given things? Even though it's not an IELTS text, even though it's easier than an IELTS text, even though I'm sure all of the candidates will get the correct answer here, all of the students will get the correct answer, I still think it's useful to go through this process of true, false, not given, doing it not with the IELTS level texts at first, but doing it with, if you are a B1, B2 student, finding easier texts and doing the same task, right? So the IELTS, of course, we know IELTS reading can be difficult because the texts are complicated, especially, in the academic. But still getting used to the type of tasks, doing it at the easier level first and then growing. Because those skills, those logical inference skills or understanding precise, detailed bits of information, that is a skill like anything that can be developed. It's not, of course, knowing English is always the most important thing, but sometimes the skills of finding true, false, not given, it's also an extra thing that might, make the difference between getting like a 29 out of 40 or getting like a 32 out of 40, which, is a meaningful difference between a 6.5 and a 7. So yeah, useful for the students to do this. I'm not going to give them too long. And again, why didn't I just ask for the answers, right? I could have just said, okay, what are the correct answers? Again, it's good communication for the candidates to check, compare, if they have different answers to explain. But more important than that, you're not putting anyone on the spot. People, even though they have the right answer, they might feel a little bit uncomfortable thinking, oh, if maybe I have the wrong answer. I don't want people to think I'm stupid. Allowing students that time to work together to check their answers first, softens that so that when then you pull the people back, you ask what's the correct answer, people are confident in their answers, or at least if they get it wrong, they know, well, I wasn't the only one that got it wrong. That guy got it wrong as well. Yeah, so that's why we put students into pairs to check their answers. Maybe you think I'm too soft, I'm too British, I'm too European. Who knows? Maybe you're right. But I think it's always a nice touch, especially for new students when they're strangers. Okay. Cool. So I won't check these in detail. I will only check the answers if anyone answers something wrong. Then I will check in detail and I will explain the answers. But I don't think we need to explain everything here. And then we'll move on just to a little bit of part 3 and then end the class. So let's pull people back. Okay, so not such a difficult text and not such a difficult task, but let's just check your answers very quickly. Virendra, let's start with you. Sentence 1, little things generally don't have much of an impact on a home. True, false, or not given?
Actually, false.
It is false. Sarah, number 2?
Number 2, true.
Great. Jotinmoy, number 3?
False. Oh, sorry. True.
Number 3, only humans.
That's true. It's true.
Well, let's have a look here. For many, home is not just a place. It's about the people they live with, family, friends, or even pets.
Pets.
Are pets people, Jyotirmoy?
No.
For some people, they might be. But of course, not only people, family, people, friends, people, but also pets. So this one is false. Brian, let's go to you. It is important not to argue with the people you live with.
I think this one is not given.
Yeah.
Because the word important is just throwing it off.
So, of course, you might, a lot of IELTS candidates might think, of course, it's important not to argue with the people you live with. But of course, we always want to find this information in the text. And the text doesn't say anything about arguing with people. And so, yeah, this one is easily a not given. And then finally, let's go to Humayun, number 5. The size of the house is an important factor.
I chose false.
Yeah, we remember at the end here, it says whether big or small. And this means it doesn't matter. Amir, how many correct answers did you have?
I think all my answers were correct.
Awesome. Amazing. Good job. So, of course, why are we doing this reading task? Well, reading can help you to generate ideas. A lot of people tell me the same thing. I can't generate ideas in part 3. People ask me about houses or homes and I don't have an answer, right? If I asked an average IELTS candidate, what's the difference between a house and a home? A lot of these people would freeze and say, I have no idea. You guys won't, because you will know the answer. And of course, the more you read in general, not just in class, the more you read outside of class or the conversations that you have, if you can read texts about education, the environment, homes, houses, all of those different IELTS things, that can help you to understand, what different people say about different things, which can help you with your idea generation. So, looking at part 3 quickly before I let you go, I will let you go in about 10 minutes, I hope. We know in part 1, questions are about you. In part 3, questions are not about you. Questions are impersonal. So even if the theme is the same, right? Free time could be a theme in part 1. It could be a theme in part 3. If it's in part 1, you, your, you. Everywhere we see you. In part 3, we can ask questions about free time, but why is it important for people to have free time? Some people say that too much free time is a bad thing. How has the way people spend their free time changed? Okay, we have you, but do you think that people in the future? So now the focus isn't you. The focus is people, too much free time, people spending their free time in the past and the present, and people in the future. Focus isn't on us. And so I'm going to give you a difficult task now. Again, we are not answering questions, but I want you to think of 3 part 3 questions for hometowns and for homes. Questions not about you, not where do you live, what is the most famous place in your town, do you like your hometown, not about you, but in general about hometowns and homes. Now, for the questions about homes, this will be easier. You can use this text, the text that we read, you can use this to think of some questions, right? If I just look at some ideas here, one question, what makes a house a home? Cool. Do you believe that a home is more than just walls, a roof, and doors? How important is it for people to have memories, positive memories in their home? Do you think the way that you decorate your home is important, right? All of these questions that you think about for homes, you can take ideas from the text to help you think of those questions. But again, I'm going to put you into pairs. Again, the task here, well, let me ask you, are we answering questions in this task? Amir, should we answer questions in this task?
No, we should just think about questions.
Great. I'll throw you into pairs. Think of three questions for hometowns, three questions for homes, not personal about you, but impersonal in general. This is not easy to do, but I'll give you 5 minutes. Good luck. Okay. So we are going to overrun a little bit. Again, this is partially because of connection problems, partially for other reasons, but it's okay. I have a bit of time. I just hope the students do. It's easier to think of part one questions, but again, it's very, very useful for candidates to think about these part three questions. It's something I've always done with my students. Instead of giving them the questions, is making them think of the questions, putting them in that like mindset of the script writer, the person who thinks of these questions. It'll be interesting to see what they come up with. Again, Brian is very, very, very familiar with this IELTS stuff, so I think he will be okay coming up with these questions, but I'm interested to see what the others have. As always, I will record their questions, but I might change them. I might try to make them a little bit more difficult. After that, I'll put the students into pairs. I'll let them ask and answer those questions, and then I will tell them goodbye because it is getting quite late. But let's see how they are doing. Let's monitor a little bit.
We should maybe we can use that text about home and house, and we should talk about people's idea, not ourselves. So we can say what is the most important thing in everybody's house. What is the most important thing for people in their house? I think it's a good question. Yes. So let me write it down. What is the most important?
Could you repeat again? Because I write your question.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm typing them in the main chat. But do you think people's personalities are affected by their hometowns? Okay. The other one was, are there more people who stay or leave their hometowns nowadays? So that is our selection question. Our multiple idea question will have to be, what do people usually do in their hometown? We don't have a reasoning question. Why do some people choose to stay in their hometowns? Or why do some people return to their hometown? People return. Or
okay. So they seem to be doing okay. Again, I'll just give a couple more minutes. Don't want to overload them with questions. Don't want to make this too long. Really, even coming up with the questions isn't the most important thing here. The most important thing is that candidates have that time to sit and think a little bit about like what type of questions could come up. Even if they don't come up with the greatest questions, it's still useful for them, in my opinion, to start thinking like a question maker. And of course, the more you do this, the better you become at it. And so if candidates get into the habit of doing this all the time, that's one thing my friends and I sometimes do if we're sitting in a bar or something. I don't know, you might notice something or there might be something in the news and you pretend to, you come up with some IELTS related questions or something to some totally bizarre event that you're seeing in front of your eyes. And so, I'm in that mindset all the time as a teacher. Some of my friends are too. And you kind of want your candidates to be in that mindset too. IELTS should never take over your life. Trust me, or even learning or teaching English should never take over your life. But yeah, it does. And that's okay. kind of. Okay, I'm just waiting a couple more minutes. I'm going to sit in silence, just going to check, make sure there's nothing in our Telegram group chat. Nope. I'm surprised that not so many people came today. I thought there would be more. On purpose, I'm not overly promoting these lessons because I don't really want 30 people coming in. But I'm surprised that not many people came. But that's okay. All right, let's pull these people back. Teaching is easy, isn't it? All right, Jotinmoy, can you give me one question about hometowns?
Sorry, I missed the session.
Let's go to Virendra then. Can you give me one question, part 3 question about hometowns?
Yeah, what would people do to make it famous?
Again, I'm having difficulty hearing you, Virendra. I'm sorry.
What would generally people do to make it hometown famous?
Can anyone understand this? Maybe, Virendra, can you write this question in the chat? Because you have big problems with I don't know if it's your audio or if it's your internet. It's not your pronunciation. Your pronunciation is fine. There's just a technical problem, either your microphone or your connection.
I will write it.
Okay, while Virendra's writing, let's go to Sarah. Can you give me a question about hometowns for part 3?
Are there more people live in their hometown nowadays?
Mm-hmm. Are there more people live in their hometown? Let's change it. So we could have to people in your country, perhaps. Do people in your country generally stay in the towns where they were born?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe in the places. That could be a question, yeah. In the places where they were born, fine. And not an easy question, but it is a possible question. Let's go to Amir. Do you have a question? Yeah.
I wrote down this question. What people like to have in their hometown?
What do people, and remember, not what people, but what do people like to have in their hometown? So sometimes this question, could be a little bit tricky. Do you mean,
for example, cinemas, hospitals, I don't know, city centers, malls?
Okay, we could specify this, like what forms of entertainment do people want to have in their hometowns? So just making it a little bit more specific. But yeah, cool. I like your question. Brian, do you have one?
Yes. Why do some people retire in their hometowns?
And alternatively, we could say, why do some people leave their hometowns to retire? Yeah. So all kinds of possibilities here. All right, cool. Getting to homes then. So hopefully this will be a little bit easier because we've read the text. Humayun, do you have a question about homes?
Yes. Do most people think personal objects can make a place feel special?
Oh. If you were my examiner, Humayun, I would hate you because this question is difficult. But it's a great question. It is, if I wanted to check if someone was like C1, C2, I would ask this question. Great. Jotinmoy, what about you? Do you have a question here? You're muted, Jotinmoy.
So I missed the part 3 question part, so I cannot understand how to make question. That's why I missed it.
Okay, we'll jump to someone else. I'll just put Virendra put his question there. What would people mostly like to make their hometown clean? Maybe not what would people do. What can people do to make sure that their hometown is clean? That's a good question. Agree. Very nice. Okay, let's go back to maybe Sarah. Another question about homes.
Do people decorating more their home in the present or in the past? I want to ask about this, but my grammar.
Yeah, do you think people in the past liked decorating their homes more than people in the future? We often get these questions comparing past and present. We often get that examiners want to hear words. Oh, we used to do this. We didn't used to do this. We don't do this anymore. We still do this. That's the type of language that's trying to be activated. But okay, Brian, do you have one?
Yes. Can people who live alone still create a feeling of home?
That's a very good question. Again, I think that would be a difficult one to answer, but it is very thought-provoking. Cool, very part three-ish. And we'll have one more. I don't know, Amir, or yeah, let's go to you, Amir.
What is the most important thing that people like in their home?
Very good.
Yeah, I'm just going to change. What's the most important thing for people to have in their home? Maybe is a bit more like IELTS-y. But okay, but a great question. I put that one closer to the top. Usually the first questions that you see in the script are the easiest ones. And, you know, the examiner will keep going down until they get to the more difficult ones at the bottom. But I think that is a really good general question to open. Great. So you've created difficult questions, guys. You've done this to yourself. We're going to do one more task before I let you go. I'm going to throw you back into pairs where we're discussing these questions. Now, so far, you've been like examiner asking and candidate answering. This time, I want you to try to create more of a discussion. So work in pairs or in groups of three. And, you know, one person can answer, another person can agree or disagree or ask another question, but it should feel now more like a discussion, not just an interview. Again, I'm going to throw these questions, your questions. You can sell them to IDP or British Council. Maybe they will use them. I'll put you guys into pairs. One last task. Good luck. Okay, so again, I haven't given too much guidance here, and that's because the aim of the lesson is more about familiarity with the types of questions candidates can get in IELTS. It's not about technique of how to answer IELTS Part 3, right? We know in IELTS there are so many things that candidates can do. Becoming familiar with the types of question is one important thing. There are other things, of course, you can work on, like techniques, like how do you answer how important questions? How do you answer questions connected to? Oh, sorry, Amir. I'm talking to people on YouTube. I'll throw you back in with the other guys. There you go. All right. Yeah. So, of course, there are those questions of like, how do you compare present and past? How do you predict the future? What grammar or vocab do we need for this? That's not the aim of this lesson. The aim of this lesson is just a broad, general, what type of questions can we expect to see in IELTS about homes and hometowns, a little bit of idea generation help with the reading, and then, you know, just some practice of asking and answering these questions. Amir is still in the main chat, which is strange, but I'm going to go and monitor.
Than in this country. So that's why after they graduate from university, they usually go to abroad, not stay in this country.
That's very interesting. Is it the same for you, Virendra? Like in your community, do people try to go abroad?
Young people go to to migrate other places, and the older ones are still remain in the hometown.
That is interesting. This is the same with my family because we moved out when I was 9. So to me, like a concept of a hometown feels more like Alberta, Canada. And people here don't actually move. You would see, like, when you
Yeah,
come back, there would be those people who are still the
yeah.
same, slightly unevolved in what they believe in, or they haven't seen the rest of the world. Do you think it's better when people move out of their hometowns, or do you think that's bad?
I think it's a good to explore the more in the world, so they can build more, intellectual abilities like
What form of what form of entertainment do people want to have in their hometown? So what do you think this?
What form of entertainment do people want to have? Because of the fast-paced life nowadays, people tend to relax more, and that's why they just visit. They would love to visit gardens and uh, quiet places and
Like
other things to
tourist spot.
entertain. Yeah,
Yes, we can say the park or historical place, museum, like this. This is the play of entertainment.
yeah. I don't think museums like can make people entertain, but uh,
Yes,
I don't know.
museum
Maybe
also
yeah,
can we can learn so many things from museum.
yeah, but it's boring
Okay,
rather than interesting. Visiting museum and like listening lectures from guys, it's just boring.
okay.
People tend
Next,
to like visit.
Oh, you're sitting here.
Sorry, is the meeting finished? I didn't attend to any of those pairs sessions.
Yeah, I think sometimes when the connection isn't strong, once you're like going from group to group, sometimes Zoom kicks you out. I guess it's a problem in Iran, right? I've had this with a lot of candidates from Iran that they try to have the test, but sometimes the connection, sometimes it's okay, it works, and sometimes it's weaker. Is Zoom banned in Iran?
Yes, unfortunately, it's
So you're on
because of that.
VPN?
Yes, because of
Uh-huh.
that.
I got it. How are the VPNs in Iran? Are they okay? Do they work? Are they stable?
Yes, they are stable, but they they make the speed of the internet very low, so yeah,
Mhm.
some difficulties,
Do you have a paid version or do you
unfortunately.
use the free version? Because I know sometimes the free versions do this, but sometimes the paid versions can be, the speeds can be okay.
I have some paid one, but Zoom doesn't work with um, it's I don't know how they filtered some apps that they don't, we can use those apps with just some particular VPNs. They have
Mhm.
lots of different filtration,
Got it. Yeah, that's a shame.
unfortunately.
All right, I'm gonna pull people back anyway. I think we are pretty much done, but I'll pull everybody back just to say goodbye. Um, yeah. When are you planning to take your IELTS, by the way? Is it coming soon?
Yes, in a month, I think.
Okay, so you have a little bit of time left to do a bit more preparation.
Yeah.
Nice. Um, All right, guys. I hope you found this useful. Unfortunately, we don't have more time to go into some of your answers. Now, of course, there's a lot to do as an IELTS candidate, right? We want to be the purpose of this lesson is just to make you familiar with the kinds of questions, but also just to show you a nice, simple text that can help you to generate some ideas. Now, if you read one text, this isn't going to help you in IELTS. But if you read 100 similar texts to this about environment, about transportation, about hometowns, about education, if you read 100 similar texts, when somebody asks you this question, then you go, oh yeah, I think for me the most important thing in a home is building important memories. But on top of that, the people you live with are important, but not only the people, Georgie Moy, but also your pets, right? And that can kind of give you some of those ideas. Now, of course, there are techniques. How do we answer questions about like comparing the past with the present? How do we answer questions talking about the future? What are these different tenses in English? How do we talk about future time? All of that stuff, all of that stuff is stuff that you will need to learn, but it's just not the focus of this lesson today. In the future, I am planning on doing more lessons, again, thematic lessons like this, where we do different topics, and hopefully in the future, more functional lessons where you learn how to talk about the past, how to talk about the present, how to talk about the hypothetical, how to say that one thing is more important than the other thing. Hopefully, we will get to that more in the future. But I hope it's been useful for you to speak to some other people from different countries, different cultures, to have real practice using your English in a real online setting. I will take just one or two questions if anyone has any before I let you go.
Can we take a picture?
Yeah, do you want me to take a screenshot?
Yeah, I want.
This is going on YouTube anyway, but you can take all the screenshots you want from YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, but I've taken a screenshot. I'll even send it to the Telegram chat. Where are we? There we are. It's amazing that someone asked, is the meeting Oh, that was Amir, sorry. Yeah, so I've sent that picture, that screenshot for you, Sarah, to the Telegram chat.
Thank you so much.
Any other questions, folks?
Yeah, I have one. How often do you organize that kind of lessons?
So this is new, right? This is the first one we had was at the weekend. I'm planning to do one a week. It depends how successful they are. I would like to keep it to one a week. But I don't know what will happen in the future. Maybe we will get like 30 or 40 people. If we get too many people, I might do like 2 a week, but with the same theme, if you know what I mean. So at the moment, we do 1 a week, but this is still a very experimental thing. And I know a lot of people say like, oh, why didn't you tell me earlier? The reason I don't post it so far in advance is I don't want 40 people trying to get into one room, if that makes sense. Yeah, so usually once a week at the weekend, but today on a Wednesday. I'll take one more question if anyone has anything. Enough. Jotimai, I don't know if you have a question because you're muted. I can see your mouth moving, but I don't know if you're saying something.
No, I don't have any questions.
All right, guys. Well, really nice to see you all. Thank you for joining in this experiment. Brian, thank you so much for being the second teacher in the group. Yeah, really nice to speak to you all. I wish you the best. We are connected in this group. If you have any questions, let me know. All of the materials from today, I will send that in the chat too. Yeah, and hopefully see some of you in the next lesson.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Mr.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.